So the Police Complaints Authority is an independent civilian body tasked with oversight of law enforcement officers. What exactly does that mean? I've got the director of the PCA, Mr. David West, and recently appointed Deputy Director Michelle Solomon-Baksh in to tell us about the role of the authority and where they intend to go. Good morning. How are you all?
Morning.
Happy to have you.
All right. It's a pleasure to have you all this morning. We really have a lot to chat about, of course. Let's talk about the role of the PCA, Mr. West. What exactly is your role of the PCA?
Well, the PCA is an independent civilian oversight body. And I want to stress the independence because we are not subject to the control of anybody regarding our functions under our Act. And our functions are, for example, taking complaints, investigating officers involved in criminal offenses, serious police misconduct, and police corruption. So nobody could interfere with our decision making. Nobody can tell us when to make a complaint, if to make a complaint, or how to make a complaint. So that is the role and functions of the PCA. It also, all the complaints are confidential when they come to the PCA, and we do not have any police officers working in the Police Complaints Authority. It's a civilian oversight body.
How long has this body been around?
Well, the Act was amended in 2006, but the first director and deputy director came in 2010. That was Justice Gillian Lucky and former Master Ralph Doyle were the first authority of the PCA.
Okay. Mrs. Solomon-Baksh, you have been recently appointed. Congratulations on your post.
Thank you very much.
What do you think your role is now? What changes you would like to implement? How do you see yourself performing those functions?
Well, the PCA is a very well-run organization, and when I entered the PCA, I was very impressed with the unit, especially the investigative unit. I just hope to empower the rest of the citizenry in Trinidad and Tobago so that they feel comfortable and they feel safe approaching us with complaints about police officers.
All right. Mr. West, when we talk about complaints against police officers, what kind of complaints are we really looking at exactly?
Well, someone can make a complaint against any criminal offense against a police officer. For example, harassment, misbehavior in public office, assaults, okay? And those kinds of offenses. Also, too, sometimes the officers may commit serious police misconduct, okay, which is defined under the police service regulations as discreditable conduct, neglect of duties, just to name a few. So all these offenses can come under our purview. But the complainant coming into the PCA doesn't have to be worried about that. All they need to do is come into the PCA and make a complaint. We have a legal department who will then look and see whether or not their complaint, in their layman's language, falls within our remit, okay? And once it falls within our remit, they will be notified of that, and then we would commence the investigation.
All right, so let's talk about those investigations falling under your remit. Let's say, for instance, there is an investigation ongoing into a murder or something, and you find that the police officers who are charged with the responsibility of carrying out the investigations, they're not really picking up on your case. And every time you follow up on them, they're saying, well, I've heard of instances where they even misplace the file where they take statements and it's handwritten. It's not even a computer system. It's so archaic. And then when it's handwritten and you see that they're scratching it, if there's an error, scratching it, and it's so untidy, and many times it goes misplaced. Is that something they would bring to your attention?
Yes, so what you've described there is neglect of duty, prima facie a neglect of duty on this part of the police officer. So we will do an independent investigation. Now, what we do is we can either initiate an investigation on our own behalf, or somebody can come in and make a complaint. But more importantly, we also have functions of we can also audit the police file. So, for example, in some cases we do not investigate all matters. So for example, we'll write to the police commissioner and say, okay, we want to audit this file of this. So we want to follow the progress of this matter. And so we find out who is the investigator in charge of the investigation, and we liaise with him in terms of all this, what statements you have, etc., and what have you done. And then once we get the TTPS file, we will then go through the file to make sure that they have followed all the steps and they have all the necessary documents and statements in the file. And if they don't, we could always send them back and say, well, listen, look at this point. Why didn't you cover this witness? Or we can say that's fine. And we can say, well, you know, it really was a neglect of duty. The police officer has done all he can do. The matter cannot go any further. So that's how we look at and how we monitor a police investigation.
All right. Now, Mrs. Baksh, now we've recently heard about the Bodycam initiative, which is being launched. Basically, a lot of testing is taking place. How do you feel about that?
I think there are pros and there are cons. I am more concerned about the use of the body cam and what's going to happen when we go to court. I think that the policy needs to be scrutinized when you're looking at it in terms of whether or not they're going to be able to be fully transparent as to the procedures that they've put in-house in relation to the use of the body cam footage. When they go to court, what is really going to be the use of that body cam footage? And is it that everyone is going to be mandated to use that footage when we're talking about sometimes very confidential searches or raids, or even when there are police shootings, will it be mandated that that footage would be on, that little parrot on your shoulder will indeed be on?
Yeah. Well, how do you respond? Do you share those sentiments?
Yes, I do, because the PCA was all in favor and actually made recommendations to the Commissioner of Police to have body cams. And we have sent members of staff on conferences dealing with body cams. And as the Deputy Director rightly says, there are pros and cons. And we're hoping that through, and remember the Commissioner did have a private or,
a policy,
and he also had a dry run, for example.
Yes.
It's a 6 month in Chaguanas.
Yes.
So let's hope he would have learned from any mistakes or add pros and cons with that. And he can put it now in a departmental order, and the police officers buy into the training, buy into the body cams and use it, because really and truly, the body cams assist the public because, it is there available for the public so we can see if anything happened, and it protects the police also against false allegations by the public. So in a way, it's a win-win situation, but they have to have proper procedures in place for it to be fully maximized.
So somebody looking on might wonder, so how do I go about making a complaint? And how secure would my name be? I mean, privacy issues, of course, is another thing. What's the first step, anyone?
You can come into the PCA at Tower D at the waterfront. You can email a complaint. You can approach us via Facebook. And we do take anonymous complaints. So if you are worried about your identity or if you're worried about your safety, we can take your complaint anonymously, whether it be in person, via letter, via an email, or electronically. We're very excited to introduce the mobile. We're going to be launching a mobile app soon. So you're going to be able to do it on your phone.
Tell us about this mobile app.
Well, that's Mr. West's little baby.
Yeah, okay, yes, let's hear about this.
It's a project that I thought about, and I'm very happy that it's coming to fruition now. And what's going to happen with that is that we're going to have on your phone a mobile app which anybody can download on your Android or Apple phone, and it will be free to the public. And you can, once you press the app, you can come into the camera or make a report, and you could video any incident happening, or you can make a voice note of any incident happening. And then you can also send your report directly to the PCA straight away. And what that allows us to do is bring officers on the scene. So if it's currently going on, and let's say it's a fracas or something happening, and if we get it early enough, we can then dispatch an investigation team to that area so we can get people with relevant information, and we can take the report from there. So it's like more on time. So we'll be on the scene, hopefully, of most incidents straight away.
Wow, this is a huge initiative. How soon we're looking at this happening?
Well, we have a dry run is in August, so hopefully it's 1st of September, I think October, we're going to have it.
Yeah.
So by the 1st of October.
Excellent. Is this something that has been, other countries would have tried or been using? Or this is just a new idea?
Well, this is a new idea for PC. I haven't heard of any other oversight body that has an app, so I think this is the first for all these oversight bodies.
Let's talk about statistics. Based on how many complaints would have come to your attention, how many persons got justice?
Well, the matters are currently before the court, so you get your justice in court. We have referred matters to the GPP, and we have referred more matters to the Commissioner of Police for him to take disciplinary matters. So that when you're looking at receiving justice, you're really looking at the end result.
Yes.
But in terms of our role as the oversight body, we have referred a number of matters straight to the DPP for him to institute prosecutions, and then we have referred many more in the hundreds to the Commissioner of Police so that he can institute the disciplinary proceedings there. So we have we have two sets of doors that we go through in order to ensure that the citizen who makes a report gets justice. So that's our role. We take them, we do the investigation, whether it's a preliminary investigation or a full throttle investigation, and we walk you through that door. The actual statistics for the DPP as of last year were in the realm of 7 that had been referred to the DPP.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. All right, well, let's take a short break and we will continue this discussion right after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. It is our pleasure to have with us here in studio the director of the PCA himself, Mr. David West, and recently appointed Deputy Director, Mrs. Solomon-Baksh. All right, so we were chatting a little bit about how persons can become more aware of the procedure in terms of lodging a complaint. And you were telling me about an outreach program earlier, well, during the break. So tell us about this program.
Well, every so often we go out into the rural districts or into different districts throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Earlier this year, Director had one of his outreach programs in the Sandy Grande district.
That's correct, yes.
And I was very happy to take part in the Caroni North outreach program. So our next outreach program would be in November, and we're trying to target areas that are a little bit remote. And it is through those outreach programs that people could come and ask us questions, and we educate them. We actually have complaints officers on site so that they can take your report there, provide you and answer with information and answer any questions that you may have.
Let's look at the vision. Let's go back to the vision of the PCA. And do you think it has been achieving what it set out to?
Yeah, definitely it has been. You know, because we want to be in touch with everybody. So we want to make making complaints much simpler. So you don't have to physically come to the waterfront. Or in Tobago, we have an office in Tobago also. You know, so we're trying to make it as more virtual. That's why we have the app where you can do it right away. We have Facebook. You can make a complaint. You can email in a complaint. I know what happens is that when you email in a complaint, it goes to our legal department and they answer the question and they tell the person, yes, it falls within the remit, come in and see us. So, you know, we're trying to make it reachable to everybody. And in doing so, we also have some amendments. Hopefully that we're on our last stages of the amendments, that hopefully that'll go to Parliament after the budget, later on this year, which will make us more efficient. For example, many times a case would go to the coroner's court for a police shooting. We'll go to the coroner's court and it will take forever. What we want to do is once the case goes to the coroner's court, we will, because it's a police shooting, we most probably will have initiated an investigation, or we will be aware of the investigation and have done work into that. So the coroner will then have a duty to inform us that we have this case, he or she has this case before him or her. And with that, we would then be able to hand over or share our file with the coroner, so to make sure that he or she gets the relevant witness statements. So he or she can call the relevant witnesses to give evidence. Because many times the complainant in a coroner's court is a police officer who may or may not go the extra mile to get that witness who will be vital. So therefore, we'll be there on spot, okay, making the police more accountable to make sure that everybody gets justice. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do, is everybody, both the police officer and the defaulter and the victim, to get justice. That's what we really want to do.
How do you go about protecting the victim?
Well, that's a good question. We've also, one of the amendments would be also the Justice Protection Act. So we can then make a recommendation to the DPP that Mr. or Mrs. Y should have police protection because this matter is so serious. And then he would then look at it. So we can then bring it to the fore that this person needs protection, and the DPP, it'll be up to the DPP to decide. But right now we cannot get that in. But with the amendment, we can now get that in to make the recommendation.
And it has been successful in the past. Persons' identities, or they have been protected, you would say?
I would say so. I've seen in the press recently that there have been some complaints about the witness protection program. But having served some time in the assizes, I can say that it's a program that works. Witnesses do still come to court and they still give their live testimony, and they do feel comfortable for the most part giving that evidence in court. Whether or not the program is successful from their point of view, that's a different story that I'm going to be able to help with. I see that there was a report in the newspaper recently, but that's their personal experience, and that they have to take ownership of what happened there.
Our plans for the PCA to make prosecutions?
Well, we can refer matters to the DPP, and the public should know that private citizens can lay private complaints at the magistrates court themselves. But even under the PCA Act, we have the power to institute proceedings as well in certain circumstances.
All right, so before we talk about some of the challenges of the PCA and also the recent wrecking issue, which is something that I'd like to bring up, when a person makes a complaint, how long on average, or what are the steps? Like, let's say, for instance, a police shooting, right, that's an example. So a resident comes up and says, so by so is the case, I witnessed this, and this is the evidence I have before you, whatever. What are the steps? What's the procedure from there? How do you take it?
Each case is time sensitive, though. I should start off by saying that, and it depends on the facts of each case. But a complaint, whether we initiate it or not, it first comes to the complaints section, and then it's investigated. The legal department tags along, and they liaise within each other. But then from the investigations, it goes to the legal department, and then ultimately it comes to us. The reason why I say it's time sensitive is because every case will depend on its own facts and the type of evidence available to you. So it's not going to be in every case that you're going to have eyewitnesses. It's not going to be in every case that you have video footage. And it's not in every case that people will be willing to come forward. So then it will involve a certain level of footwork, so investigators will have to go out there. Matters that have a 6-month lifespan, we try to close those matters or give a referral in those matters before that 6 months expires. So that ideally, if you're looking at a 6-month matter, we're going to close that before the 6 months. If you're looking at more serious matters, however, they are time sensitive to what information we have coming forward. If citizens do not come forward, it makes the investigative process more challenging, because it means we're going to have to go out there and, do actual beating of the pavement to get that information.
In terms of the nature of the cases, what are some of the more popular ones that come to your attention?
Assault is very, assault, harassment, misbehavior in public office is quite a big one also too. And of course, police shootings.
Wow.
Quite big.
What about negligence of duties for police officers? Do you think that's something that is common? I mean, with
negligence.
all the murders and that kind of thing, and investigations running cold and cases being closed and that kind of thing, are those things that they come to your attention?
Yes, they do, yeah.
And how successful has the PCA been in actually offering assistance to victims in this particular area?
Remember, what we do is we can only make a recommendation, okay? So we do our investigation, and at the end of our investigation, we send a report to either the DPP if we believe a criminal charge has been made out, or the Commissioner of Police if we think as disciplinary or serious disciplinary offense has been made out. So once we do that, our remit, as I say, is at an end. That's what we are statutorily bound to do, and that's what we do. So it is then up to the Commissioner of Police and or the DPP to then take it further. And then they may have their own way of looking at our file and investigating. So they have their own issue to deal with after they get their file from us.
Right. Mr. Solomon-Baksh, I guess upon you entering office, you would have looked at some of the challenges facing the PCA, made an assessment, and probably put forward some proposals on the table. Do you care to share with us some of those challenges, and how do you plan to chat?
I think the biggest problem for me really would be the buy-in by the public. I think that even though you feel comfortable making a complaint to us, it can't end there. We need your follow-up in order to bring our case to a close or to make the referral. So we do need people to buy in. We need people to provide us with information. If you have witnesses, please let us know who your witnesses are, because in order to walk you through that door, we need your help. And if you're not going to follow through with the information, then we can't make that referral to anyone. I know that when you're dealing with complaints against police officers, there may be initial fear, and that is something that we would like to overcome, and to give the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that confidence that they can come forward with further information and better details moving forward.
So they need to make a commitment to work alongside you all.
Pretty much.
If I could just add to what the Deputy Director said, many times we get video evidence of issues, and I want to thank the media for helping us, because they send a lot of footage to us, and we get footage of persons being illegal wrecking or assaults taking place or whatever have you. but they don't come forward. So we have the footage, and we could only investigate and do so much. But at the end of the day, you know, the person has to say, well, it is this person or that person that did this to me. So we need their help. Eventually, after we do our investigation, we need the complainant's help.
Definitely. In our final minute, I would like to ask you about the issue of wrecking. Now, the PCA, from what I understand, says police are not supposed to wreck your vehicle once you're even in the vehicle. How do you respond? Can you offer any kind of clarity on that?
You know, it's interesting that you ask for clarity, because where those guidelines come from, they actually come from the police service. So those guidelines come from their standing orders. So I find that these complaints are very, it's ironic. I think that's the best way I could describe it. But within the standing orders of Trinidad and Tobago, the police standing orders, they have their own protocol. So the protocol doesn't suggest, it says shall, and the protocol says that when the officer comes upon the vehicle, he's supposed to make very brief inquiries. So what that means is that he doesn't go on a search and rescue looking for you, but he makes very brief inquiries. And it doesn't also mean that you just stand still on the pavement. After he makes the brief inquiries and he can't find you, then he's allowed to impound your vehicle. Once you come upon, however, and you claim your vehicle, they're not supposed to wreck you.
All right, great. It was a pleasure having you both on.